like you said, who doesn't want a space that works for them and that works for everyone? I guess there's also, like, I just think of the case of the pedestrian street, right? And you could go and you could say, look, hey, in a year we're gonna get rid of all the cars, and we're gonna open the space up, and I would imagine you could ask any one of the retailers, and a good portion of them will say, no, don't do that, because no one's gonna come, no one can drive to the shop anymore, and we're going to lose business. Now, that's been proven potentially wrong in a lot of different case studies, right? Where if you pedestrianize a street or you make it more accessible for pedestrians, actually retail goes up. And so there's a challenge there, right? Because there's an assumption that this space, if done this way, will not work for me, will not work for the guy next door, and it will not work for the community. But actually, you shut the street down, pollution goes down, greater accessibility, higher footfall, greater financial return. So where does the discussion happen from a design perspective and from a developer and a construction perspective of, actually, maybe we don't really know what space works well for us, and how do we manage that? How do we test that? How do we just say, how do we work with people to think through design that does the spaces that do work for us and actually test them and use them?
I think there's actually a huge amount of knowledge out there, and I think what I always think is my remit being just as much as a designer is as an educator, and you're absolutely right. There's all the research there that proves that a car-free town centre is economically more successful than one that's choked with pollution. And there's no question about it. However, people will always say, but here it's different. Our high street's different. It works in a different way. And it's...
Which is, you're just like banging your head. It's like, just shut, you know.
Yeah, but they're sort of right and wrong. In that, you know, you can't do a generic piece of research and apply it everywhere, because every space and every place is different.
Certainly.
Yeah. And you know what? Every place and every space should be different, because that's actually the key asset of each town centre and each high street is that, no, we're a bit different, and we look a bit different, and what our offer is a bit different, and our experience is a bit different, because that's the only thing that high streets have got in their back pocket, which puts them ahead of any shopping centres and online shopping, is that unique experience. And I think London is wonderful like that. You know, you go to some of the places in London, and the sort of different flavours you get from different communities that, and you know, it's almost like you could do 80 high streets. You could do, like, in the way that 80 days around the world, you could do 80 high streets in London and have a completely different experience wherever you arrive. And I think what we need to do is we need to be prepared every time to have these conversations again with local stakeholders. Yes, we absolutely need to do generic research, but we also need to be prepared to unravel the conversations that happen locally and the misconceptions and preconceptions that exist. Because the worst thing is that even if ultimately we may be right or may be proven right, is if we alienate everybody. Because then this isn't all going to work. Because we need everybody to invest themselves too in changes. If you do have a business that relies on car-based customers, then that may not be a very profitable business, because actually it's been proven that drivers are very poor spenders. Interestingly, TfL have done some research on this, and
which makes sense if you spend all your money on petrol.
Well, no, it makes sense, because you don't.
You don't want to stop.
You only stop for one particular thing.
Go. It's an A and B.
You stop, you pick up your pint of milk, and off you go. Yeah. But if there's a flower shop next door and the butcher's on the other side, you know, that's how high streets work. Is actually, and that's what's so great about them is that if they work, then everybody contributes to everybody else's success. But it's if you've got a business that's focused on selling that one pint of milk to somebody who drives, then, well, you're going to go down if that person can't drive. Yeah. But you've got the opportunity to sell that person some organic vegetables plus the pint of milk plus, you know, maybe a cup of coffee on the way out. Yeah. If you do this right. So. It's those conversations that we have, and we've got to assist people in coming along with us through that transition. But I absolutely agree that getting cars out of High Street is got to be our primary objective, because who wants civic spaces with cars, and actually, you know, there's great examples. Look at Exhibition Road now, and look at it 15 years ago. It's a total transformation.
It's changing. London's changing.
Look at the new built retail in King's Cross. There isn't a car in sight, you know, and it's been conceived like that from master planning level. One could have made completely different decisions about it, but you know, businesses are doing rather well, you know, and rent levels are rather high, and that's in a climate where retail is declining. So, you know, there are examples out there, and there is step changes happening.
That's going to be your prime square footage in terms of cost, really. I mean, that's
but we need to, we do need to keep on talking to people about that transition, and yes, we need to push, but we also need to take people along.